After the speech, we will have vote of thanks by Mr. Sushant Dev from Shri Jagannatha Society of Greater Chicago, and followed by a Santi Path. So we are already at 9:01. Our plan was to start at 9. So with this, ମୁଁ ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ request କରିବି ଯେ ଆମର ଭଜନ ସିଙ୍ଗର ଶିଳ୍ପମୁଦ୍ରା ତାଙ୍କର ଭଜନଟି ଷ୍ଟାର୍ଟ କରିବେ।
धन्यवाद। Good morning, Jai Jagannath. Am I audible?
Yes.
Jai Jagannath. Dhanyavad.
Jai Jagannath. Thank you, Silpamudra. Beautiful version.
Thank you.
Thank you again. From Jagannatha Swami Nayana Patagami Bhavatame. Ajira next program is introduction to a program and our speaker. Usually I'm a Shri Jagannatha Satsang. Last 4-5 months I begin to start karichu. Today both good organization Shri Jagannath Society of different areas involved, especially Shri Jagannath Global Fraternity, Shri Jagannath Chetana, Mr. Bhubaneshwar, our Shri Jagannath Society of Greater Chicago, Emanaka Anukulyare, Jira program, Hyper GR and Amadhyay Shri Jagannatha Satsang. Our main goal is how to promote and spread and practice Shri Jagannath culture, which is based on our Sanatana Dharma. So in Chicago area, ame a Jagannath culture prior last 16 years dhari arambha karchu. 15-16 वर्ष ହେଲା ଏଠି ଗୋଟେ ଟେମ୍ପଲ ରେ ଆମେ ଶ୍ରୀ ଜଗନ୍ନାଥଙ୍କର ଯେତେ ପୂଜା ପର୍ବ ସବୁ କରି ଆସୁଛୁ ରଥଯାତ୍ରା ଆସୁଛି ସେଥିପାଇଁ ସମସ୍ତେ ବ୍ୟସ୍ତ ଅଛନ୍ତି ପ୍ରତି ମାସର ଗୋଟିଏ ଥାର୍ଡ ସଟରଡେ ଆମେ ଗୋଟିଏ ଜଗନ୍ନାଥ ସତ୍ସଙ୍ଗ ଆରେଞ୍ଜ କରିଛୁ ସବୁ ସଟରଡେ ସକାଳ ମର୍ଣ୍ଣିଂ 8ଟା ରେ ଏ ପ୍ରୋଗ୍ରାମ ହେଉଛି ଏଥିରେ ଆମେ ମୋଷ୍ଟଲି ବିଭିନ୍ନ ଏମିନେଣ୍ଟ ସ୍ପିକର କୁ ଇନଭାଇଟ କରୁ to talk about religion, spirituality, are related to human mind, body, and spirit, so that it will help not only internal thing, but it will also help in their attitude, behavior, and focus in a normal life and professional life. So to be successful, it is very important not only to know your professional stuff, but at the same time, it's very important to know what is the truth in life and what is the spirituality in life, and then how it will use that in focusing and achieving our goal. So that is the main purpose. Today, I'm really honored and privileged to introduce one of the very eminent spiritual leader and speaker, Swami Sarvapriyananda, who is the current resident Swamiji and head of the Vedantic Society of New York. He belongs to mostly Shri Ramakrishna order and Swami Vivekananda, and he has tremendous expertise on our Advaita Vedanta. The Vedanta we know, but very people know about what is Vedanta and what it teaches us. So Swamiji can tell us about the real value of Vedanta. And more important thing is that Swamiji is from Odisha. So that it like, wow, even Swamiji, you are here, so you are listening. Once I spoke to Amra Raja Maharaj, Puri Gajapati, and see apananga naam mate prathame suggest kartile je tame Swami Sarvapriyananda sethi achandi tame tanku request karo si tige spiritual mane speech degi lokamananku tige bhakti part generate karno mind re. So he has spoken like about a year ago. କିନ୍ତୁ ଆମେ ଏଇଟା ତାଙ୍କର ଗୋଟେ ଏଇ advice ରେ ଆମେ ଗୋଟେ ଏଇଟା start କଲୁ ସତ୍ସଙ୍ଗ. So today we are lucky to have you here. And Swamiji has done his MBA from XIMBA, and after that he has chosen the spiritual path as a profession, and he has been speaking in many very famous institutes like United Nations, Harvard University. And I heard once speaking at ISRO, Indian Space Research Organization, and many other places. So today, Ame je truly blessed that CA Amopai each time they chandi. Among he will talk about the spirituality in life, and so hopefully you will all have something to learn from this. And now I request Swamiji to say a few words about spirituality in life. Thank you, Swamiji. I hand over to you.
Thank you so much for that very kind introduction. A small correction, I did not speak at ISRO. Maybe I gave a talk at Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. Maybe that's the one you meant.
Okay.
But thank you so much for that very kind introduction. And special thanks to Shri Bhubaneshwar Swamiji for arranging this program, reaching out and getting in touch. It is a great privilege for me, especially since I am from Odisha, to be associated with the Shri Jagannatha Society of Greater Chicago. Let me start with a chant, and then we will go on from there. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness unto light, lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Maham bodhe stire kanakaruchire nila shikhare vasan prasadanta sahaja balabhadrena balina subhadra madhyastha sakala sura seva vasarado Jagannatha Swami Nayana Pathagami Bhavatu Me. I salute Shri Jagannath. Jai Jagannath. As I was saying, thank you very much for having me, and I'm particularly glad that this is the Shri Jagannatha Society of Greater Chicago. We all know that Swami Vivekananda, he came to Chicago in the World Parliament of Religions in 1893. He came to your city and spoke at the World Parliament of Religions, the first speech, the first introduction that Americans had to Hinduism, given by a Hindu monk. And after his very successful talks at Chicago at the World Parliament of Religions, in fact, at the Art Institute, if you go to Chicago itself, the city, in the Art Institute, which is even now one of the leading museums of the world, you'll find in front of it, the road has been named, an honorary name has been given, Vivekananda Way. And if you go into that Art Institute, even now that hall is there where Swami Vivekananda gave that talk. Of course, only a part of it is still there, but they keep it under lock and key, and the plaque has been put there that Swami Vivekananda gave his first address here in 11 September 1893. After that, he came to New York. After Chicago, Swamiji came to New York, and here he established the Vedanta Society of New York, where I am now. It is the first ashram in the West, the first ashram in America. Swami Vivekananda, he was fond of quoting lines from the Upanishads when asked to talk about spiritual life. Today's subject is, what is spiritual life? So this very beautiful chant that Swami Vivekananda did, that's, I think, the best answer to this question, what is spiritual life? He would chant these lines from the Upanishads. Shrinvantu Vishve Amritasya Putraha Aye Dhamani Divyani Tastu Vedaham Purusham Mahantam Aditya Varnam Tamasah Parastat Tameva Viditva Ati Mrityu Meti Nanya Pantha Vidyate Ayanaya. What does it mean? Swamiji chants, Shrinvantu Vishve Amritasya Putraha. Listen, ye children of immortal bliss. Aye Dhamani Divyani Tastu. Even the gods who are in the heavens, you also listen, the devatas, because what I'm going to tell you, the Rishi is saying in these lines, what I'm going to tell you is something that is not known not only by human beings, but by the gods also. What is that? Vedaham Purusham Mahantam. I have realized that infinite being. So this infinite being, what is it like? What is the nature? Aditya Varnam, like the sun, blazing forth with luminosity like the sun. Tamasah Parastat, beyond all darkness, beyond the darkness of death, of disease, old age, all human limitations. So Tamasah Parastat, beyond darkness. So what is the use of this realization? What is the use of spiritual life? Tameva viditva ati mrityumeti. Realizing this, one goes beyond death. Is there any other way to go beyond death, beyond suffering? Nanyah pantha vidyate ayanaya. There is no other way. We may try all sorts of worldly ways, for whenever we are faced with problems, with suffering, whether it is money or medical care or politics or entertainment. In so many ways, we try to make ourselves happy and deal with our unhappiness and suffering. But none of them can give a complete solution. None of them can give a lasting solution to this problem of life. Only spirituality can do so. So this, I think, is a very good introduction to what is spiritual life. It is that there is that some infinite reality is there, which in all the different religions of the world is worshipped as God or Brahman or Allah or even the Tao. In various ways it is worshipped. That infinite reality, it exists. It's the real thing. God exists actually, and is of the nature. What is the nature of God? It's not a person. It is infinite radiance, consciousness, bliss. Aditya Varnam. And the nature of God is beyond all suffering. And when we realize God, Tameva Viditva, by knowing God, by realizing God, one goes beyond suffering, one goes beyond death, attains immortality. So that is spiritual life in a nutshell. What is spiritual life? God realization. What is the goal or purpose of spiritual life? To go beyond suffering and to attain fulfillment. Basically, God is the truth, is the reality. And by attaining this reality, realizing this reality, one goes beyond suffering. One attains real fulfillment in life. And this is the purpose of human life. Swami Vivekananda said that each soul is potentially divine, and the goal is to manifest this divinity already within us. So the spiritual life is this. One may ask a question, we are all religious. After all, we are all part of the Shri Jagannatha society. We are all devout, we have devotion. So what is special about spiritual life? You can have religious life, we all have it. And what is the special thing about spiritual life? It is like this. Sri Krishna, who is none other than Lord Jagannath. Sri Krishna himself, he says in the Gita to Arjuna, that there are 4 kinds of devotees. Chaturvidha bhajante mam. 4 kinds of devotees are there, and they are Artha, Artharthi, Jigyasu, Jnanicha. So first kind of devotee is the one who is in trouble. Say some problem in life. It may be somebody is sick, somebody beloved close to us is ill, or we need, or some other problem is there in the house or in the job or something in the community, and we pray. From ancient times, human beings have been doing this. Whenever faced with danger, you pray to God. So we are devoted to God because God will protect us from danger. That is one. And it's true. God does protect us. God does protect us. The second kind of devotee is the Artharthi. The devotee is not in any kind of trouble. There is no problem as such. Things are fine. But the devotee wants something more in life. Maybe more money, more success, or children have to pass the exams or get a job or get married. Something, some desire is there. Something related to the world. A worldly desire is there, and the devotee wants that desire to be fulfilled. You notice large numbers of people who come to the temples, in the Puri temple, in Tirupati, in Kashi Vishwanath, in so many places, and church and mosque and all the religious places in the world, when they come to God, very few are coming for, for jnana, bhakti, for moksha, for God realization. Mostly people are coming for this, that there is some desire in the heart and that will be fulfilled. And there is nothing wrong in this, because Sri Krishna says, they too are my devotees. Those who come to me out of sorrow, artha, distressed. Those who come to me with some desire in their mind, artharthi. They are all devotees and they are all good, Sri Krishna says. But the third kind, jigyasu. What is jigyasu? Jigyasu literally means the inquirer, the seeker, the spiritual seeker, the spiritual inquirer. Does God exist? Is it real? Can I experience God? Can I find God in this life? That question, that makes you a jigyasu, a seeker, Brahma jigyasa, an inquiry into the reality of God, into the reality of that absolute, the nature of this life, of this universe. So does Lord Jagannath really manifest himself to the devotee? Can I have the vision of Lord Jagannath? When you have this kind of an inquiry, you are jigyasu. Narendranath Datta, he was a college student in Calcutta. How did he become Vivekananda? He went around asking people, have you seen God? He went to Sri Ramakrishna and asked him, have you seen God? This have you seen God question is jigyasu, inquirer. He did not ask for any solution to any worldly problem. He did not ask for money or any special blessings. He wanted to know if Sri Ramakrishna has actually experienced, Sri Ramakrishna was the priest of Kali in Dakshineshwar temple. So Bhavatarini Kali, have you actually experienced God? And he received a straight answer from Sri Ramakrishna. Yes, I have. I have seen God. I've seen the Divine Mother as clearly as I see you. In fact, more clearly. And you too can realize God. And then Narendranath Datta becomes a disciple of Sri Ramakrishna and becomes Swami Vivekananda. But his nature is jigyasu. Once one goes from artha or artharthi, from a distressed person seeking help from God, from a person who's seeking some kind of worldly gain, seeking the help of God, we go from there to jigyasu, seeker. Then is what is called spiritual life. Spiritual life as distinguished from religious life. Above this, beyond this, is a person who has already realized God. Jnani cha. Krishna says the fourth kind of devotee is the Jnani. Those who have realized God, it's not that they will stop being devoted to God. And that I was devoted to the Lord Krishna, to Lord Jagannath. By the grace of Jagannath, I have now got God realization. I have become enlightened. Now I need not have any more devotion. No, it is not like that. The enlightened one has more devotion and real devotion compared to the rest of us. Shri Krishna says, all these four types of devotees are dear to me, but most dear is the Jnani. For the Jnani is always abides in me, for I am real to the Jnani, and the Jnani is closest to me, I am closest to the Jnani. Another way of understanding this, what is spiritual life is, there is a classification, we find it in a text, Vichar Sagar. Human beings are of four kinds. The Pamara, the Dharmika Vishayi, the Sadhaka, and the Siddha. Pamara, Dharmika Vishayi, Sadhaka, Siddha. The Pamara is the instinctive person who lives an instinctive life. I want pleasure and success and power and money. That's it. What about God, religion? No, I don't believe in such things. There's no faith at all, no interest. These are superstitions. These people believe, matter of belief only. Somebody said, no, I'm not interested in God. Kaun dekha hai? Who has seen? So this kind of disbelief, notice it's that the person is not particularly interested in believing or disbelieving in God. The person is basically interested in bhoga, enjoyment of life, and that's it. Now, belief in God is a kind of an obstacle to such a person. Such a person says that anyhow, by hook or crook, I want pleasure, I want enjoyment, sense pleasures in life, and money and success. by any method. As long as the police and the IRS don't catch me, I'm willing to do anything to become successful and rich in life. Such a person is termed pamara, instinctive life, uncultured, the lowest kind, the most basic kind of human being where there is no sign of culture or higher thought. Now, what's wrong with that? That quickly leads to unhappiness, misery. It's not a sustainable way of life. If you think of a drug addict or an alcoholic or somebody like that who just wants the next drink or the next dose of drugs and ruins his life and the life of all others around him. More or less, Pamara belongs to this category, instinctive. They are not interested in religion. They will never come to the temple and bow down to the Lord Jagannath. But the next group is that the Vishayi, the worldly person who wants things in the world, but understands, is dharmika, and has that understanding, which the devotees all have, is that even if I want worldly things, I want the world, but the presence of the Lord in my life is necessary. Without that, it is not sustainable. So they want artha and kama. The Pamara wants only artha and kama. This Vishayi wants artha and kama, but on the basis of dharma. I will be a decent person, I will be a moral person, I will be a dharmic person. And yes, my goal is worldly fulfillment. I want success in the world, I want health and prosperity, and my family should do well, my children should grow up well, all the goals. Notice, most people in society, they belong to this category. So unless people, the majority were dharmic, in some sense moral, ethical, not just in Hindu society, all over the world, most people, they belong to this category where they are decent people, moral people, ethical lives, and worldly. Their goals are worldly. And the higher goal of spirituality, God realization, moksha, that is later. Now the third category, spiritual category, is what is called sadhaka. Who is the sadhaka? Who says, the world is not my goal. My goal is God. My goal is Lord Jagannath himself. What do I want in this world? Lord Jagannath. Other things may be there. If you're sannyasi, you give up the other things and go away to ashram, but then ashram will be there. If you're not a sannyasi, if you're in the householder life, yes, artha and kama will be there. Dharma will be there. On a righteous basis, I will lead my household life, my community life. I will have a professional life, but my goal is God realization. Is it possible? Certainly. In the midst of all activities, your central goal, inner goal, private goal can always be God realization. So somebody was asking, no, but this is for monks. In Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, what we have done is we have somehow made spirituality as if it is for monks only. Not at all. Sri Krishna, who is none other than Lord Jagannath, Sri Krishna is telling Arjuna, Sri Krishna is a householder. In the Bhagavad Gita, when we hear the teacher, Sri Krishna, the Acharya, is a householder. The student, the Shishya, Arjuna, is a householder. Not only that, after the teaching of Bhagavad Gita, both remain as householders. So the teaching of Vedanta, teaching of spiritual life, is most practical. It can be and should be practiced in our life just now. We are asked to move from the level of Vishayi to Sadhaka. Who is Sadhaka? The goal of life is no longer artha and kama. Artha and kama may be there if you're a householder, but the goal is now moksha, spiritual realization, God realization. I want the Lord Jagannath only and nothing else. Other things may or may not be there on the basis of dharma. Dharma is never given up. So dharmartha kama moksha. We never say kama, artha, dharma, moksha. First dharma. First hold on to the Lord. If you have worldly desires, the Lord will fulfill your worldly desires. If you do not have worldly desires, you want God only, then this is spiritual life. So there is this distinction between the higher religion and lower religion. Both are religion, between spirituality and religion. So the distinction is, I put it this way. When I seek God for my life, money, possessions, family, my personal enjoyments, this is my life, and God will help me in this life. Will God help? Certainly. Or if you reverse it, my life for God, I am not living my life for things of the world. I am living my life to realize God, for God realization. like Vivekananda, Ramakrishna, and all other great saints and sages throughout history. Their goal was God realization. So then when that becomes our goal, then we become sadhaka. And there are many sadhakas. Sadhaka does not mean only staying in a forest or in a monastery or in a hut in the Himalayas. And no, in our day-to-day life, you'll find many sadhakas. In this audience, in the gathering, online gathering itself, I am sure many have progressed from the level of Vishayi, Dharmika Vishayi to the level of sadhaka. We are seekers. Like Narendranath Datta, we are seeking God realization. When we seek God realization, we practice spiritual disciplines. So how do you seek God? What is the method of seeking God? Now notice one more thing. Ultimately, Pamara, Vishayi, Sadhaka, all of them, they want the same thing. They all want happiness. They all want fulfillment. All want to get out of suffering. The one who's drinking and getting drunk and becoming unconscious, that person is also trying to get some happiness and avoid suffering, forget all the suffering, and only doing it in an unwise way. The person who is leading a balanced, good, dharmika householder life is also trying to overcome suffering and attain some kind of happiness. It's a more wise way. But the wisest one is the sadhaka, who says, I want God and God only. God is the solution for all problems of life. I love Mahatma Gandhi's saying. You know, Mahatma Gandhi said that, who am I? When people ask, who am I? People think that some people think I am a freedom fighter. Some think I am a politician. Some think I am a social reformer. But if you ask me, Mahatma Gandhi says, if you ask me, who am I will say that I am a simple man in search of God. Now think, that man was one of the busiest people. He was a householder. He had wife and children. And he was so busy in social reform activity. He wrote extensively. I mean, one is surprised. You know, if you see the complete works of Mahatma Gandhi, which he all wrote by hand, it is a huge almari full of, and a cabinet full of, I think, approximately 100 volumes. How busy that man was, continuously writing. And the entire freedom struggle of India is the leader of that, continuously meeting people throughout the day. And he says, what am I trying to do in all of these activities? God realization. I'm a simple man in search of God. Now we can all say that, and we should say it. One should. One sign of maturity is one must move from the Vishayi, worldly stage to the spiritual stage, from the seeking from God for my life, from to life for God. And the goal is same, happiness. It's a wiser way of getting happiness. There is one stage higher than this, higher than the sadhaka, and that is siddha. 4 stages: Pamara, Vishayi, Sadhaka, Siddha. Siddha is one who has already realized God. The Pamara wants only Artha and Kama. And the Dharmika Vishayi wants Dharma, Artha, Kama. The Sadhaka wants Moksha, which includes Nishkama Dharma. And the Siddha, what does the Siddha want? One who has attained the goal of spiritual life. Nothing. Shankaracharya sings, Na dharmo na chartho na kamo na moksha, Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. I have realized my Shiva nature. I'm one with the Lord Jagannath. And now I do not want Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Those are all done, finished. So that is spiritual life. That is the beginning of spiritual life and the culmination of spiritual life, from sadhaka to siddha. Now, the method. How do we do this? The method in Hinduism, the method for spiritual life is called yoga. Yoga is a global term. In America, it's very popular now. We are all living in USA. In USA, it's very popular. Wherever you go, I think here in New York, in Manhattan, you will find every other street, there is a yoga studio, yoga school. But here, yoga mostly means, almost totally, it is taken as the physical side of yoga, hatha yoga, which is very good, but the physical side, asana and pranayama. Higher than that is the spiritual side. So goal of yoga is God realization. Those who are spiritual, they do spiritual practice. Those who are sadhaka, they do sadhana. This sadhana is yoga. Swami Vivekananda, there are many, many yogas. In fact, Bhagavad Gita, 18 chapters, each chapter is called a yoga. Swami Vivekananda classified all spiritual paths under 4 heads. So what do you mean by spiritual life? If you are in spiritual life, what do? You do yoga. What is yoga? 4 heads. And there is Bhakti Yoga, there is Raja Yoga or Dhyana Yoga, and Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. What is Bhakti Yoga? Bhakti Yoga is love of God. The Lord Jagannath is there. You see, the Jagannath tradition is primarily a Bhakti tradition. It is, I would say, the most ancient and richest central tradition of Hinduism. More you delve into Jagannath culture, you will see how infinitely rich, how deep and complex is this Jagannath culture, how all embracing. First of all, how ancient. If you go all the way back to the Vedas, I think there's reference of Daru Brahma there. So the Lord Jagannath name was not used there, but Daru Brahma there. From the Vedic times onwards, going back several thousand years, 5,000 years or more. And then we come down in the Bhagavad Gita, of course, the whole chapter is there, this Purushottama, on the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, where the name Purushottama comes. The name of Lord Jagannath is Lord Purushottama. In the Puranas, it is extensively mentioned. By the time we come down to the last 2,000 years or so, there are any number of references to Lord Jagannath. Of course, it is part of the Puranic tradition. Vedanta. Vedanta, if you ask what is the definition of Vedanta, Vedanta is basically Upanishads. In the Vedas, which are the foundational texts of Hindus, there are these highest, final teachings, texts called the Upanishads. And the philosophy, the highest spiritual philosophy taught in Hinduism is based on these Upanishads, is called Vedanta. Anta means end, Veda, Anta, the end of the Vedas. End not in the literal sense, not always in the end of the text. Sometimes in the middle of the text, you will find Upanishads. End in the sense of highest teaching, ultimate teaching of Vedanta, of Vedas, ultimate teaching of Hinduism is found in the Upanishads. So these Upanishads together are known as Vedanta. And there have been many masters of Vedanta in the last 1500 years or so. Adi Shankaracharya, the school which he developed, he's not the founder. None of these masters are the founder. These schools, they all go back to the Lord himself, to Lord Narayana, to Lord Jagannath. But Adi Shankaracharya gave the commentaries which are the basis of Advaita Vedanta, which we follow. But Acharya Shri Ramanujacharya, he interpreted the Upanishads and Gita and Brahma Sutras according to Vishishtadvaita, the Shri Vaishnava philosophy, which is found mostly in Tamil Nadu. Then you have Madhvacharya, the Acharya of Dvaita Vedanta, Nimbarkacharya, the Acharya of Dvaitadvaita Vedanta, Vallabhacharya, the Acharya of Shuddhadvaita Vedanta, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is gloriously associated with Lord Jagannath himself. So from him comes the school of Achintya Bheda Bheda, the International Society of Krishna Consciousness, which is popular all over the world, here in USA also. It started here. In fact, it started here in New York, in Manhattan. So their core philosophy is Achintya Bheda Bhed, which is also another school of Vedanta. Now, my point here is all these streams of Vedanta, all the different schools of Vedanta have intimate association with Lord Jagannath, in Jagannath culture. Jagannatha Swami Nayana Pathagami Bhavatu Me, which we chanted. According to one source, it was composed by Adi Shankaracharya. Adi Shankaracharya visited the Jagannath Kshetra, Puri Kshetra. Sri Ramanujacharya visited the Puri Kshetra, Jagannath Kshetra, and their goal was always so that they can include the whole Jagannath culture, Jagannath Kshetra, and the Jagannath culture as part of their movement, whether Advaita Vedanta or Vishishtadvaita Vedanta or other schools of Vedanta. And what actually happened was, instead of absorbing the Jagannath culture to them, Lord Jagannath absorbed them. So the Advaitic influence is part of the Jagannath culture. The Vishishtadvaitic influence is part of the Jagannath culture. Our Vallabhacharya visited Puri Kshetra during the lifetime of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Shuddhadvaita Vedanta. And of course, the entire Gaudiya Vaishnavism is totally centered around Lord Jagannath, because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself was there. So all these schools of Vedanta, they are part of the overall culture of Lord Jagannath. Not just Vedanta, not even just Hinduism. There are clear Buddhist influences as part of the Jagannath culture. The term Shunya comes up again and again in the mantras chanted for Lord Jagannath. The emptiness concept in Buddhism. And think how remarkable it is. Buddhists don't believe in God. Buddhists don't believe in Atma, in immortal soul. And yet the Buddhism, the Buddhist philosophy is part of the Jagannath culture. Buddhist culture also at one time in ancient times, it became part of the Jagannath culture. So vast, and the Jaina culture is also part of the Jagannath culture. So there are influences from all streams of religion and thought in India, in ancient India. They've all poured into the Jagannath culture. Most ancient, most rich, and most profound, sort of the central backbone of Sanatana Dharma of Hinduism, and most dear to the people of Odisha, but also it is central to all followers of Hinduism, wherever we are. Primarily a bhakti approach. So the bhakti approach is basically all our emotion, our desire, which flows out in 100 streams towards the world. I want money. I want delicious food. In fact, I'm here in Manhattan. If you walk just a little, within a few minutes, you'll come to Broadway. If you walk up and down the Broadway, you will see what is samsara. One side is Broadway theaters, of course, entertainment, art, culture. Another side is, Manhattan is a foodie's place, delicious food from all over the world, all different cultures of the world. It's here. Then high fashion, clothing stores with the latest fashion brands and all. Food, clothing, entertainment, it's samsara. Little further down, if you go to downtown, you will find Wall Street, money. So money, clothing, glamour, food, culture, all of samsara. So our desires are going out in these 100 different streams towards samsara. What is bhakti? You gather up all this desire, gather up all this emotion, this power, and channelize it to Lord Jagannath. I want what? Not food, clothing, glamour, and money, but I want the Lord. I want God. So that concentrated stream of desire towards God, it is no longer desire, it's no longer kama, it is no longer desire, it becomes love, it becomes bhakti. So the intense love of God for the sake of God, not for the sake of anything worldly. See, what transforms, practically, let me tell you, what transforms our religious devotion to Lord Jagannath to bhakti is this. Whenever we go into the presence of Lord Jagannath with some desire, I am coming in, I bow down to the Lord. Who am I? I am a father with children, and there are some problems. I need help there. I am this corporate executive or a professor or a doctor. My professional side has many problems. Family, profession, community, I have so many problems, and personal health problems, financial problems, so on. I come like this, like a cloud around me, I come to the Lord. Then that is worldly. You are artharthi, you are vishayi, not spiritual. Still religious because you have faith in God. Now, if it's much more powerful, if when you enter the temple, you leave your shoes outside. Just like that, you leave it outside, that I am a father or a husband or a wife, and that I am an executive in a company, that I have financial problem, health problem, relationship problem, all that I leave outside. With my shoes, I take it off and come into the temple. And when I come in front of the Lord, how am I coming in front of Lord Jagannath? I am coming to have darshan of Lord Jagannath as simply a lover of Lord Jagannath. I am here because I love you, not because I want money. One interesting thing I forgot to tell you. Yes, Shankaracharya came, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Ramanujacharya, Vallabhacharya, Sri Ramakrishna himself. He deliberately avoided going to Lord Jagannath. He said that if I go to Lord Jagannath on a pilgrimage, Tirtha Yatra, if I go to Lord Jagannath, if I get darshan of Lord Jagannath, I will not be able to stay in this body. I will have to give up the body. Such was the extent of his devotion to Lord Jagannath. He went to Vrindavan and Kashi on pilgrimage, Sri Ramakrishna. Puri was much closer, and his great devotion was to Lord Jagannath. But he knew if he once goes to Lord Jagannath to Puri, he will not be able to stay in this body. Only, in fact, after he passed in 1886, Shri Sarada Devi went to Jagannath Kshetra with a photograph, black and white photograph of Sri Ramakrishna, and showed it. So Sri Ramakrishna had Jagannath darshan through the photograph. So devotion. When I leave all those worldly sides outside the temple, like with my shoes, I keep it outside. I come as a simple, like Gandhiji's words, a simple man in search of God. I come in front of Lord Jagannath. You will see, you will feel bhakti for the first time. All the problems are outside. They will be there. When you go outside, they will jump on you again. But here you are in the presence of the Lord. You enjoy the bhakti. Fill your heart with devotion to the Lord. All those problems will be taken care of. Don't worry. Sri Krishna has assured that whatever is needed by the devotee, the yoga kshemam vahamyaham, whatever the devotee needs, I will provide. Whatever the devotee has, I will protect. Devotee need not worry about worldly affairs. So this becomes bhakti. Then it's no longer praying for XYZ, it becomes bhakti. Narendranath, who went to Sri Ramakrishna for asking, have you seen God? I want to see God. He did come once when he was in deep trouble. His father, Vishwanath Datta, had passed away. The family was under debt. He was the eldest son. He did not have a job. His mother and the younger brothers and sisters, they were on the brink of starvation. Now, he was a dutiful son. He tried hard to get a job. He could not, and he was in serious trouble. He went to Sri Ramakrishna for help. See, it's a worldly desire. Atta, I'm in trouble. I want some help. But Sri Ramakrishna said, so he went to Sri Ramakrishna and said, well, you tell Ma Kali that to help my family. And then Sri Ramakrishna said, look, I don't ask for such things. You go and tell. Why don't you tell? And Narendranath said, no, she listens to you. You should tell. Sri Ramakrishna said, today is a good day for the worship of the Divine Mother. Please go to the temple and tell. It's a night. So Narendranath goes and then he comes back. He's in a different spiritual mood. And Sri Ramakrishna asks, so what happened? I went there to the temple and I saw the living presence of the Divine Mother. And so Sri Ramakrishna said, did you ask? Yes, I asked for bhakti and jnana and vivek and vairagya, devotion, knowledge, the viveka, the discrimination between eternal, non-eternal, vairagya, dispassion for the world. And Sri Ramakrishna said, that is all right, but did you ask for money? And then Narendranath said, no, I forgot. Oh, what a fool you are. Go, there's still time, ask. So again Narendranath goes, and again the same thing happens. He comes back. Third time Sri Ramakrishna sends him. Again he comes back. He says, I could not ask. And then he says, I understood, this is your play. But it was a test. Sri Ramakrishna was very happy that even in trouble, he did not ask God for worldly things. And Sri Ramakrishna, of course, blessed Narendranath Datta that your family, they will never become rich or powerful or influential, but your family will not lack for simple food and clothing for the rest of their lives. That much he blessed. Bhakti is when we ask God, for love of God and nothing more. Other things God will take care of. That is a powerful way of overcoming the problems of samsara and attaining peace. Immediately one attains peace if one has love of God. If you have love in the world for any person, that also gives you so much happiness. Imagine then how much happiness you will have if you have love for the eternal person, that is the Lord Jagannath. That is bhakti yoga. And of course, we know the practices of bhakti yoga. There is puja, there is chanting, there is mantra japa, there is prayer, there are many rituals, and so many things are there. The whole technology of bhakti is there. Then there is another way. The other way is yoga, meditation. So Patanjali Yoga says, not just belief or faith in God, but actually you can experience God. You sit in this way, you breathe in this way. Ashtanga Yoga is there. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. And by sit in this way, breathe in this way, control your mind, withdraw your senses, focus. You may focus on the form of God also, on the form of the Lord Jagannath in your heart. Chant the mantra, you will get the vision of the Lord. You will reach Samadhi. That is Dhyana Yoga. Swami Vivekananda called it Raja Yoga. It is based on Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. That is the second path, yoga. Third is very important, Karma Yoga. What is Karma Yoga? Not doing a lot of work. What work we are doing, to do it as a worship of God. If we separate two things, here in the Jagannath temple in Chicago, that is my religious life. That is my spiritual life. Then the rest of it is family life, community life, professional life. If you separate in this way, secular and sacred, then both will suffer. The secular life will become very soon dry, meaningless struggle. And spiritual life will diminish because you have no time and energy. Secular life takes so much time and energy. Your job, your family, personal health. So the two have to be combined. What I do in the temple and what I do outside the temple. When I go to the job, I am worshipping Lord Jagannath through my actions, whether you're completing one assignment, submitting a report, driving to work, all of these are, I am worshipping Lord Jagannath. If Krishna tells Arjuna to practice Vedanta in the battlefield, worst place. If it is possible to practice Vedanta in the battlefield, we should be able to practice Vedanta in our day-to-day lives. We are not so busy, we are not under so much pressure. So in our work life, in our family life, in our daily activities, whether in the ashram or in the household, one should be able to do that work, whatever work it is, and mentally offer to Lord Jagannath, I'm putting these flowers at your feet, my Lord. This is my worship of you. Karma Yoga, transformation of our activities into worship. Third, this was third, Karma Yoga. And the fourth one is Jnana Yoga. This is where Advaita Vedanta comes in. Advaita Vedanta says, you and Lord Jagannath are one and the same reality. And this has to be realized. Who am I? I am a devotee. That is my Lord. This is devotion, bhakti. But ultimately, from the perspective of consciousness, from the perspective of the Atman, I and the Lord are one reality, Tattvamasi. And this can be realized. Hanuman one day was asked by Lord Ramchandra. Lord Rama asked Hanuman, what do you think of me? And Hanuman said, Deha buddhya dasoham, jiva buddhya tvadanshaka, atma buddhya tu tvamevaham, iti me nishchitamati. As this body, I am your servant, Hanuman. You are my Lord, Ramachandra. As a jiva, in this body I am Hanuman. In other lives, I have been in other bodies. But you are the whole, you are Brahman, you are Narayana, I am your part. And as Atma, Atma Buddhya, from the perspective of Atman, is one consciousness. You and I are one reality. Which one is correct? All three. Iti me nishchitamati. All three are correct from different perspectives. From the perspective of the body, I am the servant, you are my Lord. This is Dvaita, dualistic devotion. From the perspective of Jiva, you are the whole, I am your part. Jiva Jagat Vishishta Brahma. And that is Vishishta Dvaita. And from the Atma perspective, Tvamevaham, you and I are one reality. This is Advaita perspective. All three are real, depending on the perspective. So in Advaita Vedanta, in the path of Jnana Yoga, we inquire into who am I? Am I the body? Am I the mind? Or beyond the mind and body, I am this unlimited awareness to which body, mind are appearing, in which body, mind are appearing, in which world, body and mind are appearing as nothing other than that one consciousness. So that is the meaning of Aham Brahmasmi. There, what is Lord Jagannath? The reality of Lord Jagannath and the reality of the devotee, they are one and the same reality. Like Hanuman, we will be able to say, Tvamevaham. You are virtually I and you are one. Aham Brahmasmi means I am not body, mind. I am Brahman. And Brahman is nothing other than my own reality. So we are one identical reality. That is the highest knowledge, the Advaitic knowledge, the identity of Jiva Brahma, of individual being and Brahman. From that perspective, we will see Lord Jagannath is not only in the temple, and not only in the image, not only in my heart when I meditate, but with an eyes closed and eyes open, I see Lord Jagannath everywhere. In all living beings, they are all manifestations of the Lord Jagannath. All non-living things in this world, sky and earth and the rocks and the sand and buildings and cars, all are appearances. The reality behind all of them is Lord Jagannath. So this is the highest Advaitic realization. From that perspective, we can say like Shankaracharya, na dharmo na chartho na kamo na moksha, chidananda rupa shivoham shivoham. Not dharma, not artha, not kama, not even moksha, because already I have realized my moksha swarupa. I am chidananda rupa shivoham. I have realized my identity with Lord Jagannath. So these are the four grand paths of yoga: bhakti yoga, then raja yoga, dhyana yoga, karma yoga, jnana yoga. Which one should we practice? So you can practice any one or more than one, but Swami Vivekananda's recommendation is we should practice all four. Transform our activities into karma yoga. Same activity will go on, but karma yoga, it becomes karma yoga mentally by offering it to Lord Jagannath. Meditate morning and evening on the Lord. Repeat the name mantra and meditate. Visualize the form of the Lord in your heart. Little bit of meditation, 10, 15, 20 minutes in morning, 10, 20 minutes in the evening, more if you like. And then transform your activities. By all my actions, I am worshipping the Lord. All my devotion is to the Lord. Bhakti yoga and karma yoga. And finally, investigation into Advaita Vedanta, investigation into Upanishads and Advaitic texts like Aparoksha Anubhuti, Vivek Chudamani, Atma Bodha, to realize answer to the question, who am I? So these are the four grand paths of spiritual practice. This is how life becomes spiritual life. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Jagannatha Arpanamastu.
Thank you, Swamiji. It's a really enlightening. What is spirituality? What is religion? Many people have a lot of confusion on this too. So you clarified that very well. Hope people got a very good understanding of both and how to distinguish that and how to practice that together. That's the big thing. We all do, but we do not understand how it should be done. So this is very helpful for all of us. Thank you very much again. Now, again, namaskar and thank you for your time to give us. Now I request Sushant to go to the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Nilbhai. Jai Jagannath. Namaskar to all devotees of Lord Jagannath who have joined us today. I am Shashank Deo from Chicago. I have been part of the volunteer community at Shri Jagannath Society of Greater Chicago since the last 4 years, and it's an honor to be associated with this divine cause. I, on behalf of SJSGC, would like to extend my sincere thanks to Swami Sarvapriyananda ji for spending time with us today and talking to us about spiritual life. For me, personally, it was an enlightening discussion as I was not aware of many things. And I liked how Swamiji described how religious life is different than spiritual life. And the four different kinds of people, starting from people who pray when in distress, to people who pray for success, avoidance of danger, to people who are jigyasu or seekers, as Panditji mentioned, and finally to people who are gyanis. I believe, like Panditji mentioned, most of us are fall in the category of people who pray to avoid distress or to pray for success. But it is also good to know what it means to be a jigyasu or what it means to be a gyani, right? And I'm sure all of you would have also learned a lot and have your own share of learnings today. Thanks a lot, Swamiji, again for spending time with us today. It was really a helpful discussion. I would also like to thank Shilpa Mudra Jagdev for the mesmerizing and soulful bhajan of our beloved Lord Jagannath. Thanks a lot. Today we had many devotees joining us from around the globe. Thank you everyone for joining this event. Your presence and participation helps us and motivates us. Without you, this event, which we try to conduct monthly, would not be possible. Special mention to the following people who helped us organize the event today. Neil Bhai and Bhubaneshwar Bhai for the introductions and helping us organize this, Surya for being the coordinator for the seamless Zoom meeting, and all the volunteers from across the globe who helped make this event a success. This was the fifth of many such spiritual discussions. We have another enlightening spiritual discourse by Swami Madhavananda Saraswati ji on Jagannath Mahatmya coming up tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. 8:30 a.m. CST. Hope all of you can make it tomorrow too, and we'll see you all. We'll share the details of next month's topic and speaker shortly. Please stay connected and join us for more such enlightening discussions in future. As with any religious organization, we need help from our devotees to grow and spread the cause of Sri Jagannath awareness to the world. Please help us in any way, which form you can. Our temple details are being flashed on the screen currently. So I know we are above time. So with that, we would like to end today's discussion. Thank you again, everyone, for joining. And thank you, Swamiji, for walking us through the discourse today. Thanks a lot. Jai Jagannath.
our program सरिया लगी.
madam.
Okay. She conclude well quite the session. Okay. So no Shanti Pat.
Shanti Patin.
Okay. All right. Then તમે close कर दो, मैं drop coach.
ठीक.